today, let's talk about my birth story. Okay, so I've had two babies. My first was Mia Gael. She's 3.5. That was kind of traumatic. I really wanted a natural birth. I wanted a home birth. I went with a practice that was kind of borderline holistic and not, I guess. I went through the pregnancy. I didn't have any complications, any issues. Everything was going really well. My mother had toxemia preeclampsia with me, and they were always kind of monitoring me to see if that was going to be an issue. So fast forward, we go through the whole glucose testing garbage and failed. So now they're making me prick my finger 50 times a day. I hate needles, ironically, because I do needles now. But anyway, that put me into this high-risk category. They had me coming in for constant appointments now all the time. I could just tell the tone switched from really supporting me for a natural birth while they were at home to as if something was wrong with me. My due date was on Thanksgiving. So that, if anybody knows, you know. Went in for one of my regular appointments at like 38 weeks, 37 weeks actually, 37 weeks. And I had not eaten that day, and I had a coffee, so my blood pressure was high.
A lot of coffee.
I had a lot of coffee.
You were coming off work.
I was coming off work. I was really tired. I had been working the whole time, my whole pregnancy. Do not recommend. Adjusting a lot. And anyway, so my blood pressure was high. It was almost as if that was a green light for them to start kind of gaslighting me and my family into something being wrong with my mom's history. And next thing I know, I'm being told I need to go into the hospital that day to get my blood work done. It was 5 o'clock. That was the last appointment. So they took me off the monitors. She was fine. She's passed all the stress tests. But my pressure was still slightly elevated. I honestly don't remember what it was. They said, go to the hospital, get your blood work done. If all of your, essentially, the proteins in my blood did not show that I was headed towards preeclampsia, toxemia, I could go home. I said, okay. I went. Sure enough, they take my blood. It was negative. I was fine. But my blood pressure was still slightly high. So the gaslighting started. They went from me to Tommy to my mom, one-on-one, pulling us out individually, saying that essentially if I go home now, I could turn preeclamptic in a matter of hours. My life would be at risk. The baby's life would be at risk. I need to be admitted, and they need to induce me immediately. Total garbage sauce. If I had known then what I knew now, and I did, and let's preface this.
I had to look it up, and your blood pressure was 145, 151, and 145 were the two readings I got.
Yeah.
You had presented 3 weeks or 4 weeks before that with a 155, which was high. That was high, don't get me wrong. But anyway, you had presented higher.
Yeah, I had anyway. So I came into this with a lot of knowledge, a lot of education, a lot of background in, the business of being born. I've watched it. I study this. I work with pregnant moms. This is what I did. And still, as a first-time mother, first-time father, first-time grandparent, this was scary because you build a relationship with your birth providers. You trust them. You do expect to some extent, especially when picking a practice that you trusted to be on your side in preparation for a natural birth, to advise you correctly. End of the day, I was induced. I spent 5 days in labor between the balloon, meso, Pitocin for days. I was determined still not get an epidural, so 72 hours into this with constant Pitocin drip, all these other measures taken, I was unmedicated. And then I was not progressing. Tommy adjusted me the whole time. I was very tired. I was being told not to eat. Essentially, what they did next was wheel in the C-section cart with all the gowns and say that if I didn't get my epidural, I was going to get a C-section because I was not progressing and things were getting dangerous. So I got the epidural. I got adjusted. A few hours later, Mia was born. She was severely jaundiced. We got admitted to the NICU. I developed horrible postpartum depression because I had been on Pitocin so long, someone who doesn't take medication. I am welcome to the conversation about Pitocin withdrawal and postpartum depression. I am welcome to the conversation about induced and long labors on jaundiced babies. So it was hard, and it made not only that day hard, but my recovery, my mental health for months to come hard. It impacted my whole family, and it was because there was a holiday coming up. It was 5 o'clock. It was closing time. I had been in that bed for 5 days. They transferred me to a recovery wing in this tiny, horrible room outside the maternity ward the second that Mia came out because they needed that bed. I'm still paying off the bills from that birth because of the extensive amount of time that I was there, and then followed by sleeping in the NICU with Mia for several days after that. Totally different experience with Rainey because I knew what I wanted. I was a second-time mom. I actually stayed with the same practice but different midwives. I had a completely unmedicated birth. I labored at home. I was not induced. I went 2 weeks over term. She was a fast and painless labor. It was a beautiful recovery, mentally and physically. She was in the bed with me, co-sleeping at the hospital. We breastfed both of them actually with no issues. Mia for far too long, but Rainey is breastfeeding like a champion. I got my redemption birth, the birth of my dreams, and it means the world to me. But it took a lot of education, support, understanding. I had a beautiful doula who saved me, got me through natural birth. She means the world to me, and her daughters mean the world to me. And they were there with Mia, and they're in a more extensive role with Rainey. It takes a village, and that's okay. So speak up, ask questions, challenge authority, and question everything. You're allowed to. It's your birth, it's your body, it's your baby. I hope that was a little story. That was my birth. Those are my birth stories.